Nitish Kumar is a man full of vendetta. The former Union Minister RCP Singh says the day after he quit the Janata Dal United following snubs from the party boss. This at a time when Nitish Kumar's party has attacked the BJP and tension scales up in their alliance. The ISRO's historic mission with the maiden lift-off of its small lift launch vehicle carrying a student satellite and an Earth observation satellite runs into trouble, data loss reported. Former judges, the bureaucrats all slam the human rights situation in Kashmir. The report recommends the restoration of statehood as promised. States were cooperative, want to go in for diversification, says the Niti Aayog at the 7th Governing Council meeting. Credit goes to all states in India's fight against COVID, says the Prime Minister. And it is a gold medal rush for India at the Commonwealth Games. Nikat Zareen adds a third boxing gold. The top story, ISRO's historic mission with the maiden liftoff of its small lift launch vehicle carrying a student satellite and an Earth observation satellite ran into trouble on Sunday morning. Two satellites that were on board the first flight of this new Indian Space Research Organization rocket got placed in an unstable orbit and are no longer usable, the space agency said. The update on the status of the mission came hours after it experienced data loss in the final phase of the flight.
1, 0.
This was meant to be the start of a new series of missions for ISRO on board a brand new rocket, the SSLV, or Small Scale Launch Vehicle. The blast-off from Sriharikota seemed perfect, but minutes later it was clear that something was wrong. Worried scientists peered into their consoles. Data of the rocket's flight parameters showed this: a key system called the Velocity Trimming Module, which helps insert the satellites into the correct orbit, had fired for just 0.1 seconds before shutting down. And about 8 minutes into the flight, this wobble was seen on the flight parameters board. While the satellites were released, and we could see this from video sent back, the news was not good.
We had in the terminal phase of the mission some data loss is occurring, and we are analyzing the data, and we will come back on the status of the satellites and as well as the vehicle performance soon. So until then, please bear with us.
A few hours later, ISRO tweeted out an official explanation. The SSLV rocket had placed the satellites into the wrong elliptical orbit, but they've identified the root of the error.
Subsequently noticed an anomaly in the placement of the satellites in the orbit. The satellites were placed in an elliptical orbit in place of a circular orbit. So when you place satellites in such an orbit, the orbit will not stay for a long time. Due to atmospheric drag, the satellites will come down, and the satellites have already come down from that orbit and they are no longer usable.
On board the SSLV were two satellites, an Earth observation satellite and a second satellite called the Azadi Sat, made by 750 girl students at 75 rural government schools. The 8-kilogram satellite was meant to celebrate India's 75th anniversary of independence. ISRO was out with its explanation of what went wrong within hours of the launch, and they say that they'll have another SSLV rocket out soon. Now this is crucial as ISRO aims to launch missions using this relatively low-cost rocket to place satellites in low Earth orbit, a big market opportunity. Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
And the Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has called a meeting of all Janata Dal United MLAs and MPs on Tuesday, leading to speculation about his growing friction with the BJP and that it may come to a head. After the bitter resignation of the RPC Singh, that's the JDU president, alleged that another Chirag model was being prepared to orchestrate the downfall of the party. The Chief Minister, citing health reasons, also stayed away from the meeting of the government think tank, the Niti Aayog, in Delhi this weekend, which 23 Chief Ministers, including the West Bengal's Mamata Banerjee, had attended. The absence is being seen as yet another show of anger by Mr. Kumar at the BJP.
An angry RCP Singh, a day after resigning from the primary membership of the JDU. Singh was in no mood to spare his former political boss Nitish Kumar, whom he accused of political pettiness for dragging his family members into a a political fight.
पॉलिटिकल लड़ाई लड़ी चलिए, फील्ड में चलिए, जहां भी चलना चलिए। कि मैं देख रहा था 1.25 साल से क्या चल रहा है, उसके बाद ठीक है मेरा टिकट काट दिया, आपका पॉलिटिकल डिसीजन है।
Nitish, realizing the damage caused by the bitter episode, got top party leaders to counter Singh's charges, which followed after he said he quit the JDU because he was offered a union cabinet berth due to an understanding between Nitish Kumar and Amit Shah.
अभी जेडीयू बने तो मंत्रिमंडल में काहे के लिए हम शामिल हो? क्या जरूरत है? किस बात की आवश्यकता है? 2019 में माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने फैसला किया था कि हम सरकार में शामिल नहीं हो। हमारी पार्टी आज उस स्टैंड पर कायम है, माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी के 2019 के निर्णय पर।
Amid this rift between alliance partners, Nitish stayed away from the PM's Niti Aayog meeting in Delhi on health grounds, even though he attended 2 back-to-back government functions in Patna. He has now called a meeting of all legislators and MPs. With Manish Kumar, Nayantara Singh for NDTV.
And days after a politician abused and pushed a woman on camera at a residential complex in Noida, this man's supporters turned up at the housing complex shouting slogans and asking for the address of that woman. The accused, Shrikant Tyagi, has claimed that he's a member of the BJP's Kisan Morcha. And there are pictures of him, photos of him with senior BJP leaders. However, the BJP claims that he's not associated with them. Either way, the residents of this complex reached out to the authorities about this brazen attempt at intimidation. The Noida district magistrate and the police chief eventually came to the residential complex, met with the residents. The angry residents are now raising slogans against the Noida police. Shrikant Tyagi, meanwhile, is still at large 48 hours later. The district magistrate now says that the Noida administration will attach Mr. Tyagi's property.
जो स्थिति बनी है, उस स्थिति में हमने गृह सचिव जी को, उन्नीस अवस्थी जी को अवगत कराया है, पुलिस अधिकारियों को वार्न किया है कि कल ही ये घटना हुई है। इस तरह से वंचित लोगों का इस सोसाइटी के अंदर घुसना उचित नहीं था और कहीं ना कहीं पुलिस की व्यवस्था में जो कमी रही है, उस चीज की कमी को मुझे पूरा विश्वास है। देश में कोई भी गुंडागर्दी नहीं कर पाएगा। योगी जी
48 घंटे भी पूरे होने वाले हैं।
48 घंटे का समय हमने उनसे दिया है, उसका कल तक का समय पूरा हो जाने दीजिए, तब तक हम
पीड़ित से क्या कुछ बात हुई? पुलिस से प्रोटेक्शन की बात हो रही है।
पुलिस प्रोटेक्शन हमने अभी मांग ली है, 2 घंटे के अंदर उनको पुलिस प्रोटेक्शन मिल जाएगी।
Sierra, it's been more than 48 hours. The Shrikant Tyagi is still at large. What happened in the evening around 7 o'clock, there were more than 7 bouncers of Shrikant Tyagi. They had entered the society, Omax Grand in Sector 93 of Noida, and they were looking for the victim. Her name is Anna Agrawal, and they were looking for the flat of Anna Agrawal. But there were a few residents who started questioning them, and they started abusing the residents. Then residents called the cops. In fact, luckily the cops were outside the society. The PCR van was there, and then a few officers of Noida police, they've entered the society, and they have detained these bouncers. The big question is that he's still at large. He is indirectly trying to threaten the victim, and Noida police, initially they had registered an FIR under section 354, but later they have increased several sections including 420, 147, 148 for against Shrikant Tyagi, and there were more than 10 teams which are looking for Shrikant Tyagi, but they're still not able to find where the Shrikant Tyagi is. So as of now, the MP of Noida, Mahesh Sharma, is in the society, and he is trying to pacify the residents because residents started raising slogan against Noida police. So Mahesh Sharma, MP, BJP, is trying to pacify the residents there. He had called Commissioner of Noida, Alok Singh, over the phone telling that you should arrest Shrikant Tyagi as soon as possible. But the big question is that now the family of victim, they are very afraid. The way the supporters and the goons which are related to Shrikant Tyagi, they have entered the society and they were looking for Anna Agrawal. It is a question of worry for the family.